There is a question that more people are asking in 2026 than at any previous moment in living memory. What is happening to the world? Not in the abstract, philosophical sense, but in the very specific, very practical, very felt sense of people who are watching the systems they have built their lives around showing signs of strain that were not visible in quite this way before. Who are sensing, not from news headlines, but from something more direct, more interior, more immediate, that something fundamental is shifting. The Pleiadians have been asked this question, not through formal channels or official communications, but through the inner lives of the millions of sensitive, genuinely seeking souls who have been receiving their transmissions in one form or another for decades. And the answer they are offering in 2026 is one that requires a completely different framework than the ones most people have available. It requires understanding something about how civilizations actually change. Not in theory, not in the abstract, but in the specific, concrete, often uncomfortable reality of what it actually looks like when the organizing principle of a human civilization undergoes genuine transformation. Civilizations, in the Pleiadian understanding, do not change because their systems are replaced by better systems designed by wiser planners. They change because the consciousness of the people within them changes. Because the inner world of the population, the values, the assumptions, the felt sense of what is real and what is possible and what is acceptable shifts to a point where the existing systems can no longer adequately express or serve the consciousness that inhabits them. At that point, the systems begin to show stress, not because they are being attacked from outside, but because they are being outgrown from within. And this, the Pleiadians say with a clarity and a directness that is unusual even in their transmissions, is what is happening to the global financial system in 2026. It is not being destroyed. It is being outgrown. The consciousness that designed it, that sustained it, that gave it the legitimacy it required to function, that consciousness is changing. And a system designed for a humanity organized around scarcity and competition and the concentration of power in the hands of those with access to resources is increasingly difficult to maintain in a humanity that is developing gradually and genuinely beyond those organizing assumptions. Before going further, the Pleiadians want to address something directly, because this is a subject on which a great deal of misinformation circulates, on which specific claims are made about specific events, specific dates, specific financial mechanisms that do not serve genuine understanding and that can cause real harm to people who act on them. They are not transmitting about specific political events. They are not making predictions about what will happen on any specific date. They are not offering financial guidance of any kind. What they are offering is something different and, they say, more genuinely useful. A framework for understanding what is actually happening at a deeper level than any specific event can reveal. The larger pattern within which the surface turbulence of the current moment can be understood as purposeful rather than random. Here is the framework. Every human civilization, in the Pleiadian understanding, organizes itself around a set of core assumptions about the nature of reality, about what is scarce and what is abundant, about what human beings fundamentally are and what they are capable of, about the relationship between individual and collective and between humanity and the natural world. These assumptions are not chosen consciously. They are absorbed, inherited from the culture, taken in so deeply and so early that they feel not like assumptions, but like facts. Like the way things simply are rather than the way things have been organized to appear. The global financial system that exists in 2026 is the material expression of a particular set of these assumptions. It embeds, in its very structure, a set of beliefs about scarcity and abundance, about human nature, about who has the right to create and control the medium of exchange, that are not eternal truths, but historical choices. Choices that made a certain kind of sense in a certain kind of consciousness, and that are becoming increasingly difficult to sustain as that consciousness changes. What assumptions specifically? The assumption that scarcity is the fundamental condition of material existence, that there is not and cannot be enough for everyone, and that therefore the allocation of what exists must be managed through systems of competition that inevitably concentrate resources in the hands of those most skilled at competing. The assumption that the value of human contribution can be adequately measured by a single, universally applicable medium of exchange. That the extraordinary diversity of what human beings are capable of offering to each other and to the world can be reduced to a number that then determines the quality of life available to the person who produced it. And the assumption, underlying all the others, that the purpose of an economic system is to produce growth, measured in terms that do not account for what the growth costs the living systems, human and natural, from which it is extracted. These assumptions have produced a system that, within its own framework, is extraordinarily sophisticated, that has achieved things that would have seemed impossible to earlier generations, and that has also, as its costs become increasingly impossible to ignore, revealed the fundamental inadequacy of the assumptions on which it rests. The Pleiadians say, what is happening to the global financial system in 2026 is the beginning of the end of the dominance of these assumptions. Not because a better system has been designed and is ready to replace this one, but because the consciousness of the population that the system depends on for its legitimacy and its continued operation is developing beyond the assumptions the system embeds. When enough people no longer experience scarcity as the fundamental condition of existence, when enough people have direct experience of genuine sufficiency, of communities organized around cooperation rather than competition, of value that cannot be measured in any single currency, the system that depends on the universal acceptance of its assumptions begins to lose its grip. This loss of grip does not look elegant from the inside. It looks like instability, like systems under stress, like the turbulence of something that was once reliable becoming less so. But from the perspective of those who can see the full arc, including the Pleiadians, who describe their view of human development as spanning timescales that make the full pattern visible in a way it cannot be from within a single lifetime, what is happening looks entirely different. It looks like emergence, like the necessary turbulence of a caterpillar in transformation, like the darkness before a dawn that is genuinely coming, like the end of something that needed to end in order for something genuinely better to begin. What comes after? The Pleiadians are careful here. They do not describe a specific replacement system with specific mechanisms and a specific implementation timeline. That kind of precision would be dishonest, and they do not transmit dishonesty. What they describe are qualities. The qualities of what human economic life begins to look like when it is organized around the assumptions that are replacing the old ones. They describe systems in which the fundamental premise is abundance rather than scarcity, in which the extraordinary productive capacity of human ingenuity and natural generosity, properly organized and properly stewarded, is understood to be more than adequate to meet the genuine needs of every human being on this planet. They describe systems in which the measurement of value expands beyond what can be captured in any single currency, in which the contribution of a parent raising children with genuine care, of a teacher bringing genuine wisdom to the children in their care, of an artist creating genuine beauty, in which these contributions are recognized and honored and supported in ways that the current system cannot accommodate. And they describe systems in which the relationship between economic activity and the living systems of this planet is fundamentally transformed, in which the cost of what is taken from the natural world is genuinely accounted for, and in which human creativity is directed not toward extracting maximum value from the living systems that make all value possible, but toward discovering how to meet genuine human needs in ways that enhance rather than diminish the capacity of those systems to continue generating life. These are not fantasies. The Pleiadians say this clearly. They are the natural expressions of a consciousness that has developed sufficiently to organize collective life around what is genuinely true rather than around assumptions that were always, at their foundation, a misunderstanding of what this world is and what human beings are capable of. The shift is happening, not on any specific date, not through any specific mechanism, but through the gradual, irreversible transformation of the consciousness of the people who constitute the civilization that the current system was designed to serve. You are part of that transformation, your development, your growing sense of what is real and what is not, your increasing clarity about what actually nourishes life and what merely extracts from it. These are not private personal matters with only personal consequences. They are the raw material from which the world that comes after is being built. Every moment of genuine clarity about what has value and what does not. Every choice that reflects abundance rather than scarcity as the fundamental assumption. Every act of genuine cooperation where competition was the available default. Every recognition of worth in what the current system cannot measure. These are the building blocks of what comes after. And you are laying them right now in the specific, ordinary, deeply significant choices of your specific life. The financial system is changing. The deeper change that is producing it is the one that matters most. And that deeper change is happening in you, as it is happening in millions of others, in exactly the way that genuine transformation always happens. From the inside out, take what resonates. Leave what does not, and trust yourself completely to know the difference. This content is offered for spiritual reflection, symbolic interpretation, and personal insight only. It is not presented as scientific fact, medical advice, financial advice, or a prediction of real-world events. The narration in this video is generated using artificial intelligence voice technology. Please use your own discernment and personal judgment when engaging with this material.